much for tuning into Wholebody Talk, a show in which we explore what it means to transform and heal ourselves on physical, nutritional, emotional, psychological, and spiritual levels. I'm your host, Polina Smith, and Wholebody Talk airs live every Tuesday from 12 to 12:45 on FCC Free Radio. And then you can find us on iTunes by first searching for Wholebody, one word, Wholebody Talk. And today, I am very delighted to be joined by Hadass Kantorowicz, Kim Howerton, and Candice Holdorf, amazing women who work for One Taste, an organization where they teach what it means to be a turned-on woman, as well as about orgasmic meditation and many other extraordinary things. And you can check out One Taste's work at www.onetaste.us. Again, it's onetaste.us. So ladies, welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
So today we're going to talk about what it means to be a turned-on woman. And I'm wondering, Kim, can you just start and tell us what does being a turned-on woman mean to you?
Well, I first heard this phrase "turned on women" when I started coming to One Taste, and I thought, oh dear, like there's some sort of stuck in my head 70s reference, turn on. And then I realized I actually instinctively knew what a turned on woman was. I've had this experience when you're talking to somebody and all of a sudden you realize that their lights are on. They're present with you. They're in their body at the same time. It's like somebody's home. And there's also that feeling, to continue the analogy, that there's a warm glow, like it's evening, you walk up to a house and the lights are on. It's a way of being both mentally present and physically present at the same time.
That's beautiful. Thank you. And Hadass, is there anything that you would add to that for yourself?
Yeah, my personal experience with being a turned-on woman is just that I'm a woman with a lot of energy, and in the past I've spent a lot of that energy like getting confused or being worried or being anxious, and then I realized I just have a lot of energy, and when I actually feed myself the things that I want, whether it's sex or adventure or really taking risks and pushing myself to my edges, I become turned on and alive in my life. And all of that energy actually can, radiate out from me and into the people around me and into what I do.
Thank you. And Candice, what would you add?
I would add that there is this warm electricity running through a turned on woman's body. Like every nerve in her body is being flooded with electricity, and she's literally vibrating and glowing, and magnetizing is the word. And for me, being a turned on woman, it means being led by your desire, right? Having that feminine energy, creative energy actually driving you, rather than maybe a more harder, sterner, maybe a masculine idea of, or like a plan of who we think we are and what we should look like. So we actually use the feminine to drive us, like it's our power, and then we balance that with a masculine container which can actually hold us on our journey.
That's beautiful. I'm curious, orgasm plays such a huge part in the work that you guys do at One Taste. And if you can talk a little bit about how you define orgasm and then how that leads into being a turned-on woman.
Sure. Let's do that. So the world at large defines orgasm as this moment of climax. So the moment where there's expulsion, like you work, and then you have this thing happen. It's very masculine. And One Taste has actually redefined orgasm, and it's really based in a practice that we have called orgasmic meditation, which is a practice that tunes in naturally to the way that a woman's body works. So the peaks and valleys, it's goalless, it's rich, it's warm, and everything that happens within this practice, this 15-minute practice of orgasmic meditation, when two people put their attention fully on the genitals of the woman, that is orgasm. So that's really what happens in that moment. And for me personally, this practice and the practice of orgasm has been really nourishing and bright and deep and dark, and I've learned a lot from it. And what I would say, some of the main things that it's done for me is it's opened up my appetite for sex, but also my rightness with my sex. Really feeling my hunger and being okay with wanting what I want and actually moving forward into it. So that's one of the things. It's got a lot of different things, but that's one of the things I really love about it.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, I would add for defining orgasm, like Hadass said, that we tend to think of orgasm as quote unquote climax. So you build up a lot of energy, you expel energy, and you come down a sharp edge. And that's actually just one spot on a whole map of what we define orgasm to be, which is the moment the involuntary musculature is activated. So signs of orgasm in a woman, if we were actually doing the practice of orgasmic meditation, would be swelling of the genitals, the nipples, the lips, under the eyes, the erectile tissue. And to use that as an analog in our life, instead of actually pushing ourselves or forcing ourselves to be a certain way, look a certain way, or achieve a certain goal, we actually move on what feels good in our body moment to moment. And that's living orgasmically to a turned on woman.
That sounds really delicious.
It is. Yum.
Kim, before we started, you were talking a little bit how sometimes the darkness comes up, and how can we be a turned on woman when all our shit is kind of hitting the fan?
Indeed. That may be definitely my question of the day. So yeah, I'm in kind of a dark spot the past week. I have actually gone deeply into some food issues that I have and decided that it was just time to deal with them, and not doing anything by half measure, have given up all of the foods that tend to trigger me all at once. So there's sort of an intensity to my experience, as I would describe it, which means that I'm a little moody. I'm a little cranky. I'm a lot of things. The thing that I can do now that I have never been able to do before, I had some training around really delving into really feeling the deep layers of my experience, which I learned to do through orgasmic meditation. To not just go with what I thought, but to actually say okay, let me investigate. How do I feel really deeply? On the surface layer, I feel a lot of pissy, agitated, want to crawl into a little hole. And then I can drop down and say my body actually feels really good. I can feel, in my ohms, I have a lot of sensation, and it feels really decadent. And there's a way that I don't have to accept that I'm one note or one layer. I can be many things simultaneously. There's an experience of being female, of being feminine. They say we're good multitaskers. And there is a way that it can be true that I feel on one level awful, but on another level, truly the best I've ever felt. And that's a hard concept for my brain to wrap around. But at the same time, my body intuitively understands it. And I can, in moments of higher, of darker moments, I can stop and drop in and say oh, but this feels good. Or, oh, I'm having this experience and it's kind of rich. There's a reason people like sad movies sometimes. There is a benefit to having a range of experience. And not just always be happy and chipper and high, but to experience the full range.
Wow, thank you. So a lot of you have talked about how orgasm has carried into your life at large. And I'm just wondering if we can dive into that a little bit deeper. How do those two connect with one another?
How do orgasm and my personal life?
And your life at large being just what Kim was talking about, being able to tap into these deeper sensations as she moves through.
I guess what I want to say about that is that I use orgasm, my connection to orgasm, as a way to know when I'm on and when I'm off. So if I'm feeling a sensation in my body and I am trying or efforting to make something happen, like if I'm either pushing the sensation away or trying to ignore it, or if I'm efforting or putting something on top of it, I'm not fully tapped into my orgasm. I'm reaching for some idea of what I think I should be. I'm grasping for, a lot of us, if we were talking about our sexing or whatever, would be grasping for climax, or I'm ignoring my hunger. Maybe my orgasm is guiding me towards having a pretty huge meal today, be it like steak and potatoes, or be it having 5 hours of sex or whatever. Or sometimes And if I feel shame around that, or if I feel guilty about that, I might push that away and deny myself. I'll speak about my own experience. I was anorexic for 7 years, and those behaviors still come up a lot. Just the other day, I was in a women's circle, and I was talking about my sex and how I was exploring all these different pieces of it. I was really innocent and sweet in one moment, and then I felt like this wild animal the next moment, and I felt like I was literally glowing talking about it. And then another woman spoke up, just saying about how she hasn't been having a whole lot right now, and so there was this guilt that rose up in me for having, quote unquote, eaten and showed my pleasure in having eaten in front of someone else who was starving. It made me feel guilty, and I that's anorexic behavior. That's why when I was anorexic, I would try to eat small portions, and I didn't want to eat in front of people. So there's just this idea that if you have an appetite as a woman, that there's something not, there's greedy, you're not a good woman, you're a slut, you're this, you're that. And so when we listen to our orgasm and are tapped into that, we can actually use the volatile energy of orgasm to burn through the shame and the guilt and find our true desire on the other side.
That sounds awesome.
I think what the training in orgasmic meditation did for me is, before I took it up as a practice, there was this way that someone would touch me and I'd want to get off. I want to have a climax. It seemed natural. It was like A leads to B.
Yeah.
And there's this way that in the orgasmic meditation, you're not looking for a goal. There's no goal. So, what I learned is to hold in higher and higher fields of sensation. I learned how to be present in more and more intensity of sensation, because what I realized after time is actually my desire for climax was on some level a desire to not have to hold any more intensity. I was full. I had reached my capacity, and I needed to hit the pressure release valve.
Yeah.
And in orgasmic meditation, part of it is staying within the range that you can handle. And at the same time, continues to follow the sensation. And through doing the practice, I learned that I can take it. I can stay there, and I can actually learn to enjoy it very much. This ever increasing capacity for sensation. And certainly in my life, there's times when you could describe either the really high happy or the really down low as an increase in sensation. And it has followed out of the OM practice into my life that now, I have a much greater capacity.
It seems like that's what you were speaking about earlier, Kim, this capacity to be with all that's coming up.
Yeah, that it can all be, and that my container is big enough to hold it all.
Yeah, that's great. Hadassah, I'm curious about what your journey was to coming to One Taste and what's opened up in the process.
Yeah, I was thinking a lot about what you were saying. Orgasm's definitely been a big part of my path here at One Taste. But to be honest, it's just one of the things that we do, and it is a big foundational piece of what we do. But my journey was that I actually used to teach sexuality, and I was sexy, and I felt flirtatious, and all of these things, and yet there was a hunger for intimacy that was pretty deep in there, and I felt very lucky if I met a guy who could do just the things I wanted and spend just the time I wanted on me and on my sex in the way I wanted, because I thought it was a miracle. I didn't in any way think that it was something that I could have the power to bring into my life, or that I could ask for what I wanted in my sex life. Like, that was not even on my radar. And I did consider myself to be a very sexual woman. So it's really interesting. And one of the things that drew me into One Taste was really simply, I met these women who were really powerful, and you could feel it off of them. Like, they held their sex as though it was simple and clean and powerful, and they weren't trying to show off or be hot. They just felt like they had a natural, it was the thing that they were supposed to be in the world, is to have their sex be fed and to have it the way they wanted it. And I was like, wow, this is what I want. And through the process of the courses I used to take at One Taste, I really found that there was a group of women who were there to support me in starting to recognize what my own desire was, and to ask for, like Candice said, like, oh, I want that steak and potatoes, or I think you're attractive, I'd like to make out, or like, as you touch my hair, please caress my neck, or move a little to the left, or move a little to the right. So that has been a huge piece for me at One Taste, is just really being right with my desire. And the more I can do that, the bigger and bigger things open up. So it starts with having that meal that I want, and then it moves into having the relationship that I want, the sex that I want, the job that I want, because I'm not afraid to follow those little voices in every moment that come up.
I love that you shared that, Hadass, because I think just a couple weeks ago I said what I love about you and what I love about the women who I've met through One Taste is just that there's something so grounded in their femininity and sensuality that is really inspiring, and you just embody that so much. So.
Thank you.
So you've talked about these other things that One Taste offers aside from orgasm, and I'm wondering if we can dive in a little bit into that. What else can open up?
I suddenly feel really like my face is flush. I feel really electric, and there's this part of me that's like, I don't know what the fuck to say. No, it's like, what isn't possible, I guess, is the question. I mean, I just keep coming back to appetite and hunger and purpose and desire and all these things that before, where I was waiting for permission to live my life, I am no longer I'm no longer able to, because my body is so electrically turned on. I am no longer able to fall asleep, because the moment I do, my body starts, like showing up like, hello, wake up. I can't do anymore because I am so turned on. And so now what's possible, what else is available, is this idea that I am the driver's seat of my life, and I have the power to move mountains in whatever way feels good to me. And desire being that compass for wherever it is, and somehow also relaxing in the uncertainty of it all, in the unknown, rather than when the waves of change come, being drowned in them. I actually had a dream about this last night, that like this huge wave, this like black swirling wave on the beach was like about to drown me, and rather than running and gripping, like you can actually ride the wave of change and surrender in that, and in that deep surrender you will be carried to exactly your greatest potential and who you are as a woman right now on the planet.
Candice, I'm curious if it took you a while to get to that place, or if it was pretty quick when you got introduced to the work.
Well, I don't know that I've ever reached that place yet. I came to One Taste pretty much like 2 years ago, like right around this time 2 years ago. And I had been through a rather tumultuous climax. I was in the process of divorce, and I was in the process of figuring out, like, I am clearly mentally, like the anorexia was really hitting me hard, and I needed to pull myself up. And so I had been doing some work on my own, and it was through the practice of Om and through tapping into my desire and getting really real with myself that these past 2 years have carried me to a lot of different places. I just moved from New York City, 3 months ago, and in a few months I'm moving to Los Angeles, where I'll be, not only bringing Om and turned on women's work there, but also working in film. I've been acting forever, and the tenets that I've learned through desire and Om and orgasmic living, they feed themselves in my film work as well. Like it's just infusing all of my life. And in the kind of women that I want to portray in film, rather than being at effect to, like societal standards of being a beautiful woman and finding the husband and then happily ever after, like actually portraying women who are so electrified and so magnetic that they are creating the changes in the world and in themselves to be fully actualized and living up to their potential, and the whole ups and downs of that journey. These, three-dimensional, four-dimensional women.
Yeah, I think that one of the things about maybe that could be true of all of us is, we all came to this work because we wanted to do this work for ourselves. There's no one at One Taste that didn't start on themselves. And I don't know that you can do this work without starting on yourself, but, and we continue to, it's the most amazing place to work, to have a workplace that supports your personal growth, and actively, I feel like I'm actively encouraged to pursue it for whatever that feels right for me. And in my pursuit of learning to find my voice, learning to find my truth, my right path. When I find that and how I found it is it's kind of a beacon for other women. I mean, I had this experience the other night where I was a mess. I was upset, and there was some body image stuff that was coming up, and this gorgeous, beautiful woman just started nodding her head and said, "You're saying everything that I think."
Wow.
And the real power that I've learned of being a turned on woman is to speak it, to say it, and to invite other women to come with me. And so that's what just came up when you asked that question.
Yeah.
Right. I wanted to add something too, because we hadn't covered it at all. I don't know if all your listeners are female. And so One Taste does a lot of different things, which is why we have endless litanies of things we can talk about. But one of the things I really appreciated is not only does it cultivate women being turned on, and not just in, like their sex, but in their life and in their purpose, but it also teaches men how to interact with these turned on women, like how to understand the games that they play and how to play with them, and like men tend to want to hold women down and like say, like, here, I just want you to be like this, and then everything will be fine. And One Taste teaches men how to go onto what we say the ride of the woman's orgasm, so that they do know how to interact with women in these high states and in these low states, and actually have a really fun time doing that. So we think that's really important, in all areas, whether it's sex or relationship, that men really truly understand how women work and know how to handle them. So.
Yeah, because we find more than anything, I mean, and this is what was so lovely in coming into One Taste and starting to work with the men, I didn't realize quite how much men so deeply want women to have what they can have. They want, like, across the board, I find, I mean, pretty much, that men want to support, encourage, and love. And we don't always make it easy, and we don't always speak the same language, but that, through figuring it out, and ways that we've kind of learned to translate the experience to the opposite sex, that there's a wonderful, beautiful co-arising desire that can come together.
Yeah, it's about actually being in partnership with men rather than one person being on top or the other, But I think what's most valuable that I've learned in interacting with men is the more I am in touch with my desire and really specific, I want a rooibos chai with almond milk and 2 stevia. And when I have that map and that specificity, I can give that, ask of that and from my man and set him up to succeed, because it is true. The men, they just want us to be happy. They just want to please us. Whatever the slogan or whatever in my brain is, a smile is the sexiest curve on a woman's body, So the more we are able to know that desire and be in approval of it, the more we can communicate that to men and help them succeed with us, because we really do just want to love each other.
I think one of the really, for me, one of the key factors that we talk about in our Turned On Woman weekend class is about sort of pleasure deficit and how we don't, as women, always let ourselves have. And there's a way that as women, it's really important that we figure out how to have, and an offshoot of that is when we learn that we can have, the other people in our life, we can actually give more specific instructions to, like Candice said, because in the past, maybe I would have thought, no, I can't ask for what I want. It's too specific. What if I don't want to make them feel like they might fail, oh, I don't know if that's okay for me to have, that constant chatter in my brain. And then I would just set all the people up around me to fail, which is so great for resentment, which is key to successful relationships, I'm saying, but there's a way that when I started to, put on your own, life vest first, learn to have. And once you can get there, things just fall into place a lot easier around you.
I'm curious how the world at large has been receiving this work and how it has been to bring the topic of orgasm to the public.
A lot of different things. It's funny as when I go out and about and say what I do, people sometimes have a really shocked expression on their face. I say I'm an orgasmic meditation coach, and I help people with their sex life, and I help women have the thing that they want. And it's like, what? Orgasm? What is that? So there's that. But then I get these women that come up to me and they're like, oh my God, I need that so much. I get that a lot of I can't get to climax. They say orgasm, but they mean climax. I feel like I need it. I don't know. There's something wrong with me. And it's oh. And that's the response we've gotten a lot through our website as well, as these people, we actually teach people how to be OM trainers, and these people from Nebraska and Utah are sending us their emails of hi, I want to be part of this thing. People that which are coming out of the woodwork because they can feel that there's something available here that they haven't been able to touch before, and they want it. And it's confronting to some, but it's also oh, please, we need this work. So I feel really, really grateful to be part of this thing.
Do you guys have a vision or a desire of where you hope it will continue to unfold? How it will continue to unfold?
I think the ultimate desire is that as many people as possible and that have a desire to learn about orgasm and learn about orgasmic meditation, if that's the vehicle to take them there. My personal desire is that women feel good about themselves and that they realize how wonderful and beautiful and complex and delightful that they are, and that men as well learn how truly appreciated they are, and that through touching your orgasm, you can have all of that. And my desire is that it happens, that no one has less than they want.
Yeah, that is well said. It's funny, but I like I said before, I have a lot of energy. Like I used to think I was kind of crazy, you know, like I have a lot of energy, and I am not like a perfectly well put together, proper prim woman. I mean, I really value beauty and aesthetic, and at the same time, I like the deep and the dark and the messy and you know, getting into trouble in some ways and having adventure and not looking like I have it all together or all worked out. And what I've found, like over and over again, is that a turned on woman is actually the thing that's most attractive to people around her. So if she's turned on in the messy, in the dark, you know, like in the sad, like if she's like genuinely feeling and electric, it doesn't really matter if she's, you know, got the perfect body or, you know, she talks the perfect way or, you know, has the perfect lifestyle, if she really is in touch with who she is and what she wants. And that's really what I want people to have is like, you know, the feminine lives in the dark. That's where our power is, you know, is in the feeling and in the raw and in the messy. And it is, you know, much like Kim said, it's a place where we can love ourselves and accept ourselves and actually see that that's really what we bring to the world. So
Beautiful.
yeah.
So you guys offer a Turned On Women's Weekend.
We do.
What is this Turned On Women's Weekend?
I think Hadas wants to talk about it.
Yeah, me and Rachel Turowitz are co-teaching this thing this weekend called the Turn On Women's Weekend, and it is a weekend. It's a weekend retreat experience, and it really covers a lot of what we talked about today. It's a place where women can come and start to explore what is their desire. What are these quiet voices in the back of their minds saying to them that they maybe haven't listened to in a while? About what's your hunger? What does your sex want? What is it like to start to talk about these things and actually start to plan out how you can move towards having these desires fulfilled and be right with yourself as a woman for these things? And then the beautiful thing is that it really is an all women's event. So it's a place where other women can come together and have honest, intimate conversations about sex and desire, and really support each other in being turned on women. You know, one of the things that I found with women is that we like to commiserate, and you know, and we don't necessarily often support each other in our power. And there's a weekend here where we can say, wow, you can tap into your sex and into your desire, and that's your power. And then we can help each other be bigger and move out to the world and actually spread that out into the rest of our lives.
That's beautiful. And I had done the Turn On Women's Weekend a couple months ago, and it was just so incredibly moving and powerful to be in a group of women just so honestly talking about what's up for them in their sex lives. It just felt so rare. I don't often have a vehicle for that in my life, and it was a really powerful experience.
Not only talking about your sex, but and other appetites, but being fully seen and supported in that area, because I think we often maybe will come out in life and we'll express something, and then somehow we get beaten down or we get slapped on the wrist for that's not what a good girl does, or you know, other women's jealousies, you know, or our own will actually sabotage relationships, like honest, loving, deep, full relationships with other women. So that's another valuable piece, is not just tapping into that desire, but expressing it and having it loved and nurtured and supported. And that's one thing that the Turn On Women's Weekend offers, as well as a plan and moving forward in the future for you to start doing that for yourself and for the women in your life.
Beautiful. And other things that One Taste offers, you guys have in-group on Wednesday nights?
We do, yeah. We have once a week we have something called in-group, which is a night of communication games around, you know, talking about the opposite sex and sexuality and desire. And it's a really fun group format in which you can start to get to know others and really start to get to know yourself and maybe say things you wouldn't normally say to a room full of strangers, but it gives you that experience of, you know, like really starting to tap into who you are and how it's okay to be that person in the world. You don't have to look like you have it all together. So that is at One Taste, which is at 47 Moss Street.
In San Francisco.
In San Francisco.
Just off Folsom.
And then the mindful man is the other thing. We were talking about men really getting supported in learning how to understand and succeed and relate with turned on women. And so we do have work for these guys as well, work to do. And we actually have a course starting tonight for mindful men. So we welcome men and women into One Taste and being turned on.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. So before we finish off here, ladies, I'm just wondering if there's a note that you would really love to leave our listeners with.
I think for me, it's that that part of you that knows and wants to come out. That part of you that I feel like I'm like suddenly a preacher or something. If there's a part of you that is desperate to come into the light and be seen, there's a way it can happen, and there's a way that you can have everything you ever wanted. It might not look like you thought it was going to look, but you absolutely can have the life you want. And the way to find that is actually to find what you truly desire and to connect with your body and to connect to your orgasm.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, I would say we deeply support the feminine at One Taste, and that doesn't look all like beautiful and put together in just the right ways. It can be a very confronting thing to listen to your desire and the thing that you want. So what I just want to make to you is an invitation that there is a group of women who have spent the last few years walking through their desire and their shame and their fear and getting challenged in all of these places to come out to the other side where they're still dealing with these things, but starting to learn how to get fully nourished by this thing called orgasm and by this work. And we're here to say you can have it, and we want to support you in having it.
Thank you.
I would say to all the women and to the men, but especially to the women who have that nagging voice way in the back of their head that they keep pushing away, that something is off or more is possible, or sex just really isn't that important in my life. It's okay if I live without it or whatever, that listen to it. There is a lot more possible. You just may not know what it is, or you haven't seen it before. So it's kind of like we push away sex, or we think we don't need it anymore because we don't know that there's another kind of sex available on the menu. There's this whole other realm of possibility. Listen to it, because that is your power. And we here at One Taste can foster that and help you access it and provide support in a way that you can really live the life that you desire.
That's a good point, Candice. Yeah,
that's why they hired
me. Awesome. Well, ladies, thank you so much. Really an unbelievable pleasure. And for all of our listeners, you can learn more about the work at One Taste at www.onetaste.us. And like Hadass mentioned, they have a Turned On Women's weekend coming up this weekend, right? Starting on Friday night?
Starting on Friday night.
All right, so definitely learn more. And thank you so much for listening to Wholebody Talk. We are here every Tuesday from 12 to 12:45 on FCC Free Radio. And then you can find interviews with amazing holistic health practitioners, including Nicole Daydon, the founder of One Taste, by searching for Wholebody, one word, Wholebody Talk on iTunes. I hope you have an amazing week, and thanks so much for listening.
Well, what do you want to do here? You want to be rude or you want to be normal here? I don't know. We got a few crazy buffaloes here, right? All right, well, listen, why don't we sing along? We always start with Skeeter, I'm a Peter, okay? Now, your part goes whacking off, all right? So just yell out loud. You'll feel like an asshole at first, but what the fuck? All right, here you go. There's a Skeeter on my Peter, whacking off. Not bad, everybody, come on. There's a Skeeter on my Peter whacking off. All right, let's try all the guys. There's a skeeter on my Peter whacking off. All the horny guys. There's a skeeter on my Peter whacking off. All right, let's try just the girls now. There's a skeeter on my Peter whacking off. All right. Not fucking bad pickings down here, huh? Let's try all the horny girls, all right? There's a skeeter on my Peter whacking off. All right. How about all those girls who would like to meet a muff diver tonight, all right? There's a skeeter on my Peter whacking off. All right. How about any guy who would volunteer to dive on her muff, all right? There's a skeeter on my Peter whacking off. You'll have them fucking lined up all night, honey. All right, everybody now, here we go. There's a skeeter on my Peter whacking off. There's a skeeter on my Peter whacking off. There's a dozen on my cousin. I can hear the bastards buzzing. There's a skeeter on my Peter whacking off. She was driving down the road doing 283 when the chain on her motorcycle broke. Well, they found her in the grass with the muffler up her ass and her titties playing Dixie on the spokes. There's a skeeter on my Peter whacking off. There's a skeeter on my Peter whacking off. There's a dozen on my cousin. I can hear the fuckers buzzing. There's a skeeter on my Peter whacking off.
Those little podunk shit towns in the middle of goddamn nowhere. I do. I play a lot of those towns, you know. I call them tweener towns, you know, where you're always on your way somewhere. It's like the place where you'll get off to fill up on gas, maybe get a sandwich. I don't know, taking a comedy show. And they always have, all these towns have the comedy club in an area they call Old Town. And Old Town is usually about a half block where they have some brick buildings. There's a movie theater, a pizza place, and they're very excited now they've got a Starbucks. If I'm lucky, a comedy club, but most times it's a stage in the back of the pizza club. And the thing that I've noticed at every one of these old towns is that they've always got the little tiny Christmas lights in all of the trees up and down the block to make it feel like Paris. And what's incredible about it is how effective that really is. I get off the freeway and I make my left turn and I go, what the shit? I was looking for Fairfield and now I'm in Gay Paris? GPS, why have you forsaken me? And I've never once turned down that street and went, man, these crazy hicks never take down their Christmas lights. God damn.
Have you ever thought about this, folks? What exactly is the plan for the Blue Angels in a real combat situation? What's supposed to go down? Why do we spend millions of dollars on them flying around setting off car alarms? Is that their function? Make the enemy think his car's being broken into? We will crush the Americans. They are evil and they too must die. They too must suffer and they too must die for killing Iraqi people. And in the name of Allah, I'm so angry, I scratch my own face until it bleeds. In the name of Allah. Is that the Blue Angels? Quickly, throw your weapons down. It's a perfect diamond. Look at the diamond. They've come to play business. Do you see the intervals, my friend? It's perfect diamond. Surrender before they loop-de-loop and smoke comes out. You know how they get. They're crazy. They're blue. I fear the loop. Grab your flip-flops. Let's run for it at this time. Before the Thunderbirds and synchronized swimmers show up, then you know we are up the creek. With no paddle, then we have to row with our hands, and then what I ask, what will we scratch our own faces with? In a downward motion till it trickle blood. In the name of Allah. I don't even know what accent I'm doing anymore, man. I'm an American. That's what I do. I don't understand you. I bomb you. Huh? Stop fighting or I'll fight you. Stop killing each other or I'll kill you.
Inside of me, pressure is presently pushing down on me. The first time it starts with just you and I repeating myself, but you don't hear me. I can see what you see, but is it worth it to me? The same conversation over and over and over. I'm just sick and tired of all those lies you tell me. You still see things to me over and over and over. It's been to see your surprise. I feel I threw you this down, but I keep telling you it's over, it's over, it's over. You've taken these things that belong to me, twisted so tightly and torn so carefully. The last time it ends with just you and I alone in a room with these torn that sheets. I can see what you see, and it ain't worth it to me. The same old conversation over and over and over. And I'm just sick and tired of all those lies you tell me. You still the same things to me over and over and over. It's been to see your surprise. I see what I threw you this down, but I keep telling you it's over, it's over, it's over. You swore I'd regret it. Now thanks to you I can't forget it. Cost all this constant battle, won't even miss you at all. Free from this life that you call. I'm just sick and tired of all those lies you tell me. You still the same things to me over and over and over. It's been to see your surprise. I see what I threw you this time, but I keep telling you it's over, it's over, it's over. I'm just sick and tired of all those lies you tell me. You still the same things to me over and over and over. It's been to see your surprise. I see what I threw you this time, but I keep telling you it's over, it's over, it's over.
How can you say you love me with that cold look in your eye? How can you say you love me with that cold look in your eye? You got a mean streak, mama, but it don't compare with mine. Oh, yeah. You say your mama picked you up and your sister dropped you off at 3. You say your mama picked you up and your sister dropped you off at 3. Well, your mama and your sister, they look like your uncle to me. I never know where you're gonna be. Now when the sun goes down, I never know where you're gonna be. Well, I ain't no good at history, but your virgin's killing me. Come on. They all come back to you. White lies, they all come back to you. You better keep talking, baby, 'cause I just wanna believe they're true.
You're listening to FCC Free Radio. Radio for the people, by the people.
The San Francisco Bay Guardian is the original alternative and the #1 progressive press in San Francisco. From the highly acclaimed weekly political editorial to online culture blogs like Pixel Vision to Ellie Leon's hilarious Cheap Eats column, the Bay Guardian brings San Francisco true alternative journalism, printing the news and raising hell. Don't forget to pick up your Bay Guardian newspaper every Wednesday and support independent, locally owned media. Check it all out daily online at sfbg.com.
At Compassionate Health Options, we believe in every patient's right to use the medicine of their choice. We have more than 10 locations throughout Northern California for your convenience. We have 24-hour verification, and your visit is completely confidential. Mention that you heard this ad on FCC Free Radio to receive $5 off. Call us 7 days a week to schedule an appointment or go on to our website at www.green215.com.
Hey, I'm Fred of the B-52s. I've always sung the praises of lobsters, and it really burns my butt when people drop them in a pot of boiling water. So take off those bibs and skip the lobster festival. Go to the beach instead. The sand is crawling with bright red, slow-moving creatures to enjoy. They're called sunburned tourists. For more on lobsters, visit PETAonline.org. Thanks.
You're listening to FCC Free Radio. Radio for the people, by the people.
He said, like Bertie was saying, other shows, they say, hey, could you not maybe show the, the people eating their own feces? And the other shows will say, you know what, that's my First Amendment rights. And if you want to take me to court, I'll take you there, mister, because this is my right as American. You know what, Bertie and I are not like that. We understand society, we respect you parents out there, and we want to help you out.
That's exactly.
We want to take our show, which has an adult themes for the most part.
No nudity, and very rarely we will curse. Once in a while, you'll see a nipple. But I'll tell you what, at 11:30, if a nipple or two, I'm going to say it.
Okay.
If a nipple or two slips in, Tana,
or possible some jiggling ass shakes,
I don't care. And you're not going to call me because you punk-ass 12-year-olds are going to be asleep. Do you understand what you've done to us? I'm not frickin' Mr. Rogers. Okay? Bitch nuts?
Yeah. I'm Mr. Dodgers.
Yeah, Mr. Dodgers.
I'm Mr. Dodgers. Okay, Pastor, there was a phone call.
Oh, Tana, wait. Well, did you hear? Did you guys just hear on the wire that Oprah Winfrey just got arrested for drug possession?
Are you guys serious?
That? Yeah, get that.
Wow, what happened?
Oprah Winfrey just got arrested for drug possession. They found 50 pounds of crack under her skirt. It's still on you. 50 pounds of crack under her skirt.
I get it. Hey, they should have arrested Stedman, too, because he had a hand in it.
You can't